Welcome. This is Spotlight. I'm Pastor Dan. We're wrestling with the question, where is God when you have problems, and how do we work with that? So last week in the first one, we began to look at some of the classic stories of people who have wrestled with where is God. When we think that there's kind of a covenant that we have this deal or contract with God, is that if we do these things, then God should do these things. So if I stand up for you, God, and confess my faith in Jesus, and I go to church, and I do the best I can to be faithful to you, then God should do his part of the deal. And whenever you ask in my name, then you will receive it. That ought to work. If I pay my tithe, God will open the windows of heaven and pour out the blessing so much that I cannot receive it. That ought to work. I had a little fun with a family that I was visiting in Chicago. Two wonderful little boys. And I had a couple dinners with them. Great people. And the father told me is that he is trying to raise those boys really, really well. He wears a bow tie. They have their bow ties. They go to church with their Bibles. They're really pretty cool young men. I had a great time with them. So they wanted to teach them tithing. And so they got $5 from grandma, whatever. Okay, so 50 cents. 50 cents goes into the envelope. This belongs to God. But if you give it back to God, he will bless you. God will open up the windows of heaven and bless you. Oh, they're excited about this. So it came time, they got to church, and here came the offering plate, and they put their 50 cents in there. And the offering plate went on down the aisle, and maybe half a minute later, they heard the oldest boy saying to the brother, "Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Something should be happening. God ought to be doing something here." And we expect that to be like that. If we give, God should do his part. One of the great stories about that is the story of 1 Samuel 30. I probably give this verse out as much as any verse that I give to anybody. 1 Samuel 30, verse 6. You know the story? I just was reading this in my own devotions again a few days ago. As God sent Samuel out to find the next king, and God had Samuel anoint David, poured the oil and anointed him, and he knows he is going to be the king. There's a contract, a covenant again. But it's not working. He kills the bears, he kills lions, he kills Goliath. He's on the right track. This ought to be working. But instead, he's out in the middle of the wilderness with a few little ragtag soldiers following him. He's hiding in caves and mountains, and Saul and all the army of Israel is after him. This is not the way it's supposed to be. Where is God when you have problems? There should be a covenant. I was anointed. I'm supposed to be the king. I should be in the palace. Why am I the one being hunted out here? They finally have a little break. They want to go home. His men want to see their wives and children. They go back to Ziklag. And I think the Philistines had come in, taken all their women, all their wives, all their children, all their animals, and burned all their houses down. There's nothing there except smoke rising up. And it says David's own men picked up stones to stone him. It's not a good day. David has nothing on his side. He has no family. He has no friends. His family, he can't go home to them. The men that have been following him around are mutinying on him. They're ready to stone him. Not only is he not king, he is out in the middle of the wilderness with nothing. And 1 Samuel 30, verse 6 says, David strengthened himself in the Lord. Evidently, there is a way that you can go across the millions of miles of space and get a hold of God. And you can get a hold of God and ask for God to bring his power that will lift your soul, give you the resources to keep going, give you some ideas on how to come out of where you are, that God has not forgotten you. And you have to find a way to be able to be strengthened by the Lord. If you can't get a hold of a counselor or a pastor or your Bible teacher or your friends or your family or your wife or your husband or your parents or anybody else who will kind of come along and be on your side, you can go to God. and he will always be there. Now, I can't tell you that it will always work out just like this. But the Bible story says is that as God strengthened David, he gathered his men around. He got a little hope. He got his leadership going again. And God told him, go after them. And they went after them, and they were able to wipe out those people. And he got their wives and their children and their animals, and they brought them all back. God redeemed it. And he did become the king. And God did fulfill his covenant. God hasn't forgotten us. I used to talk to the PE teacher down at Orangewood Academy where I was pastoring, and he would play Loma Linda, the big school, and all of us wanted to beat, and they would lose again, and he would say, what was that verse again, Pastor Dan? 1 Samuel 30, verse 6. When you're in trouble or when you're losing or things don't seem to be the way they're supposed to be, the promise is that you can be strengthened by the Lord, and he will always be there. This is Spotlight. Be with us next time. God bless. Thank you for watching Spotlight. We're so excited about this. We hope that you'll subscribe and so you'll get all of them. And please just forward it on to others and tell other people about it. And let's just see what kind of an audience we can get for these messages of Spotlight.